network of the Olympics.
One more ball, ladies and gentlemen, for $10,000.
You're watching Jack Biondolillo of Houston, Texas. The date April 1, 1967. The place Akron, Ohio. The annual $100,000 Firestone Tournament of Champions. At this moment, he is about to bowl the final ball for the first perfect game in live network television history. Let's join the action as it happens.
Let's watch this ball close, Ed.
Tournament. Another professional bowler could do it again and take home $10,000 and also a Mercury Cougar. If he does, you'll see it happen exclusively on ABC in full color on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Bringing you competition between the finest bowlers in the world. It's the Professional Bowlers Tour. This is an ABC Sports exclusive, brought to you by John Hancock. If anybody can design a life insurance plan that's right for you, it's probably us. By Ebonite, makers of the Don Carter Gyro Balance Ball, the ball used by more pros to win more tournaments than any other bowling ball in history. And by Firestone, builders of the safe tire, available at more than 60,000 Firestone safe tire centers from coast to coast. You're looking at Ed Patterson from Dallas, Texas, who since this past Wednesday has worked his way through a field of 96 professional bowlers to become the top-seeded man in this week's PBA tournament. And welcome to the premier event of the 1968 PBA Professional Bowlers Tournament, live and in color. From Squaw Peak Lanes in Phoenix, Arizona, it's the $40,000 Phoenix PBA Open Championship. Well, hi, everybody. I'm Bud Palmer. Chris Schenkel couldn't be with you this afternoon. He's out in Hawaii doing the hula bowl, but I'm just as happy to be here in Phoenix, and believe me, Chris, the weather's just as pretty here as it is in Hawaii. This is the 7th season that ABC and the PBA have gotten together. We have 13 tournaments this year. Total prize money is $800,000. The Phoenix prize money here this afternoon is $40,000, and first prize is $6,000. And remember, if anybody this afternoon bowls a 300 game, ABC will give them $10,000. Plus, this year, they will receive a Mercury Cougar. And working along with me this afternoon, it's my pleasure to have a fellow whom I've seen bowl a great deal when I did jackpot bowling. He was one of the all-time greats in bowling and has won just about every major tournament that I know of in bowling, Billy Welu. And Billy, great seeing you again.
Thank you, Bud. It's a pleasure to be back, and Happy New Year, everybody. Welcome to Professional Bowlers Tour 1968.
Now, what about this afternoon's tournament?
Well, it's been an exciting week, Bud. I don't know why it should stop with this afternoon's final rounds. The crowds have been fabulous all week. I'm sure we'll be coming back to Phoenix for many years to come. The scores are exciting. We have one left-hander and four going from the right-handed side. Dick Weber, our all-time tournament winner and leading money winner, is out there. So we've got a lot of things going.
And this is well, here it is, what's going to happen right now. As you can see, we have Don Glover is going to play Dick Weber. Then the winner of that is sort of King of the Hill, goes down to play Billy Hardwick. And then Dick Ritker, and Ed Patterson just sits and waits to see who comes up against him for the $6,000 first prize.
Well, right, Bud. That's how they finished in the tournament. Eddy Patterson was the tournament leader.
This is the closest tournament they've ever had in the PBA, isn't it?
Yes, it was. Going into the final game, there were 6 players who actually had a chance to be in the tournament leader position. At one time, Harry Golden, the tournament director, was keeping us posted. There were 11 players who had a chance to make the top 5.
Well, what do you say we look at the top 5 who we'll be seeing this afternoon? We pre-recorded this a little bit to give you a chance of what you're going to see, because you won't see Ed Patterson until we get to the final round, which is going to be quite a while from here. Here's Don Glover from Bakersfield, California. He's 5'8", 145 pounds. He's the youngest in the tournament, and he's never won a PBA-sanctioned event. His best was 3rd in Tucson last year. Here's Dick Weber from St. Louis, the all-time PBA money winner well over $250,000, and he is right in there anytime he's in the finals, isn't he, Billy?
Right, Bud.
And Billy Hardwick from San Mateo, California, 1963, won the PBA National Championship, and in 65, the Firestone Tournament of Champions. And Harry Smith, our statistician, thinks he has quite a chance this afternoon. Now we go to Dick Ritker from Hartford, Wisconsin. He's 5'7", 27 years old. He's won 3 tournaments, and he has one 300 sanctioned game, Dick Ritker. And now we go to the man who's on top right now, Ed Patterson from Dallas, Texas. And Ed's never won a tournament, and he needs 1 game here for his first win. His best finish is 4th twice. It's the first time he's ever led the field after 40 games. So there they are, the finalists of the Phoenix PBA Open Championship with Ed Patterson, the top seed, the man to beat this afternoon. We'll be back in a moment for the start of the action on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Okay, now we're ready now for the first round of the finals of the Phoenix PBA Open Championship. Ed Patterson, Dick Ritker, and Billy Hardwick are waiting in the wings for the outcome of this first match between Dick Weber right here and Don Glover. Dick Weber first up.
Bud, Dick Weber's playing a very, very tight line on that lane. He hit a little light into the pocket and, of course, left what we call a solid 5.
Well, it seems to me, Billy, these fellows are throwing a much more direct ball than they used to. There are no big hooks anymore, are there?
Very definitely, Bud. That's been the trend in recent years, and it's never been so popular as it is today. Dick Weber is standing to the right of his target, and that will give you some idea of how straight he is going.
This is Don Glover, the youngest in the field at 21. He's the only southpaw in our 5 finalists.
But of the 5 bowlers here today, Don Glover, I would think, likes this pair the most from their verbal indications. Don has averaged 220 on this pair in the tournament, and it was he who won the toss as they selected the lanes for this first match.
He hooked that one quite a bit, didn't he? I just mentioned a straight line ball. He seemed to hook that one quite a bit.
Well, you did catch it, but he had a very noticeable snap in his release. Instead of the arm coming straight through, he had the wrist open and sort of cocked the shot and went around it.
Well, he's got the spare. And now we switch to it's amazing, to the old man in the finalists here. And Dick Weber, at 38 years old, is actually 10 years older than the average of our 5 finalists.
But if you can go any straighter than that, it's got to be with a slide rule.
What about this big glove that Dick has on here?
Well, that's
seems to be getting bigger and bigger.
Well, it has a pad sewn in the palm, which fills up the open area in his hand and gives him contact with the ball. See the value of that straight shot, Bud? The ball just stayed right in the pocket.
Well, that's the big difference between now and 3 years ago, isn't it? Everybody
Yes.
seems to be throwing a straight ball. 3 years ago, you saw an awful lot of big hooks, like Carmen Salvino and a few others. Don Glover.
And Weber immediately takes an 11-pin lead with that early double. Don Glover made a very good correction there, Bud. You notice he came in on lane 34 a little light. That time he adjusted slightly and I think his target adjustment was excellent. He was a little slower with that ball, so it did finish high for him.
Now, what about these two lanes? Glover's moved it over to 33 and 34. Now, he claims he says 33 holds pretty well.
Well, Bud, I can't really tell you from his side of the lane because I don't get to play over there. But off of your statement, I will definitely have to say you are correct and agree with you, because he's going straighter to the pocket on lane 33 than he is on lane 34.
Well, he's had quite a tournament here. He was third at one point. Then he dropped to 15th, and last night he ended up fifth again. And the action will continue in this first match between Don Glover and Dick Weber in just a moment on the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Leading by 12 pins, Dick Weber, ready to shoot the fourth frame in the first game of the final rounds of the Phoenix PBA Open. But all I can say there is remarkable.
Well, it's remarkable when you think that Dick Weber here has 15 sanctioned 300 games, which seems fairly incredible to me.
I thought that ball was going very, very high. He has got the finest touch going that I've seen him have in, the last couple of years. But there's the problem with that, what we call predetermined release shot that keeps the ball straight. In his effort to be too precise,
Look at him.
he pulled it and did pull it far enough and did get the strike, and naturally very happy.
And a sheepish grin on his face, too. Don Glover up now.
Dick Weber leading by 32 pins.
Shall I ask you a controversial question? Does Southpaw have an advantage or not?
But that's a very difficult question because it involves so many things. Today they have a little bit smoother area because there's less play over there.
Oh, wobble.
A tilt and a twirl, and the pin gave it a whirl, huh? Boy, that four pin, if he kicks that one out, goes 5 in a row, and he increased his lead to 32 pins. Actually, Don Glover had cut it back to 21 with that very important double that he got. But Dick Weber's oftentimes called Golden Arm, and very rightfully so, because he can do more tricks with that bowling ball than a monkey can with a coconut.
I notice he's awful careful, too. He checks so he won't stick on his approach at any time, too. He's usually wiping off that right sole of that shoe.
He has always got great composure on those lanes.
Oh. Now, what happened there?
Well, that's a little decomposure. But in a direct answer, or in analyzing that shot, in coming through to try and retain his accuracy, he released his hand too openly and didn't get any roll on the ball at all. It just sort of flattened out as it hit the pocket.
What chance has he for this spare?
Well, if he hits either the 8 or the 10 solid, it might bounce back out and make it. But as you saw him play just for one on a strike, it meant 2 pins and count.
That's the first open frame we've had, isn't it? Here's Don Glover now. Don Glover now is only trailing, as you can see, by 8 pins. And a strike here will put him in the lead. By the way, don't forget, on most of these stations, right after this PBA tournament, you'll see the Hula Bowl live and in color, direct from Hawaii, with Chris Schenkel and Bud Wilkinson, featuring the truly top seniors from all over the nation.
Nine pins difference, Bud. Count is very important at this stage of the contest, because a mark is often 10 pins, and determined plus or minus 1 or 2 might mean the difference whether a player would have to get a mark or not.
That helps Don Glover. And we'll be back with a balance of the first match between Don Glover and Dick Weber here at the Phoenix PBA Open Championship in just a minute. Oh, this is Dick Weber now. He's leading by about 9 pins, 8th frame. He averaged around 200 on these 2 lanes, 33 and 34. He's now on 34 to qualify for the finals.
Came right back, Bud. Stayed with that ball very well. Had a real good hitting power on that shot.
Now, are they constantly making adjustments?
Oh, yes, Bud. Bowling is a game of adjustments. The lane condition varies from game to game and from pair to pair. Your speeds vary according to how you feel on any given day. Some days you just can't do what you want to do. You have to make adjustments. Big shot of the game.
Boy, he almost had a nasty split there.
Right, Bud. If you can follow the pattern there that did develop after leaving the 8-10, that time he did not want to come in too light or roll the ball too flat. He went a little more direct, and he put a very good lift on that ball, and it broke very sharply at the pocket. But that was the key shot. If he can get that one, then it forces Glover to double.
Well, Weber's ahead by about 9 now. And there's your score. Dick Weber here ahead by 9. We switch to young Don Glover from Bakersfield, California, looking for his first tournament victory in the PBA circuit.
That's a big one for him.
That was his most perfect shot of the match, but very excellent shot under extreme pressure.
And puts him ahead by about 1 pin, doesn't it?
Right, Bud. And now, as we mentioned earlier, here's why the count is so valuable. Don has 2 strikes up. If he gets 8 or 9, he loses that pin that he is leading. In order to retain that, he has to make a strike, which would then actually increase his lead to 11. So he has to get a good count.
He liked that one.
I'd say that was a mighty good count. But now with 177 and a string of strikes working, he has a possible 237. If he
strikes out.
Right, Bud. Now, if he gets this strike, he closes Dick Weber out.
How about it? Looked like a perfect ball to me.
Yes, he didn't have quite the good roll, though. Did you see that pin roll lazily into the gutter?
We're all tied up exactly, aren't we now, or not?
But at this point, Dick Weber needs 3 strikes to tie. There is a possible tie match. he converts this Sperry as 226. Dick Weber needs 3 strikes for 226.
That's what I meant. We do have a possible tie. Of course, the pressure's really on Dick Weber as we're looking at Don Glover here. Here's Dick. No, he did not do it, so it looks like Don Glover is our winner here, right?
Right, it is now Dick Weber with a possible 213. Of course, his facial expression pretty well told the story of that match on that shot.
And don't forget, right after this PBA tournament, for most of these stations, don't forget the Hula Bowl live and in color directly from Hawaii, and that features all the top seniors just about throughout the country as far as collegiate football is concerned. For most of these stations, right after this PBA tournament from Phoenix, Arizona.
There's another one of those little dandies.
Yeah. So Don Glover moves a step closer to first prize of $6,000 as he faces Billy Hardwick from San Mateo, California. We'll see the start of that action in just a moment.
Weber had 211. Weber had 211.
Now, if you wonder why this is called Squaw Peak Lanes, well, there you have it. Directly outside the door here, you can see Squaw Peak in the distance there, and that's why it's called Squaw Peak Lanes in beautiful Phoenix, and that gives you one reason why so many people are moving out here and what a great place it is to live. Okay, here we go again. We have Don Glover facing Billy Hardwick. Billy Hardwick finished third here, and there's Billy. And this is all practice, of course, and Billy is not too happy here, I don't think, Billy Welu, because he averaged about 190 on these 2 lanes.
Yes, this was not one of his better pairs, and to make the ridiculous seem even worse yet, on his first practice ball on May 33, he left the 5-7-10.
That's a little hard to do, isn't it?
We were in commercial at the time, but the crowd enjoyed it.
Billy Hardwick, and here we go. He's a little lucky there, wasn't he?
Yes, Bud, when you flirt with that head pin, you have a possible split anytime, even when the ball is rolling well. But got a nice little break.
And he has the spare to start off. Billy Hardwick, who finished third here. Now we'll switch over to Don Glover. In case you just joined us, defeated Dick Weber in the first match this afternoon. 226 to Dick Weber's 211. The only southpaw we have in the 5 finalists.
But that was really a super shot. He put a little too much fingers on that ball, and the ball just charged through that 1-2 pocket for him. And he didn't get anything off the wall. The ball charging through there so much, left up the 9, so he's got a difficult little flare.
Gave it a good try.
He certainly did, but he's a very gritty little performer. He wants to get to that Firestone Tournament of Champions real bad.
There's that open frame, which puts Hardwick out ahead. I mentioned it's interesting in the qualifying for the tournament here. Early rounds, Don Glover here averaged 220 on these 2 lanes to 190 for Billy Hardwick.
He's pacing himself a little bit different right now, Bud. He was a little bit more cautious against Weber, a little bit more careful. He seems to be sort of attacking with reckless abandon right now, and he's lost a little of his posture out there.
It's amazing how that can happen. He seems to be rushing the line a little bit, isn't he?
Yes. See that, how he fell off balance again on that shot. Well,
now we switch over to Billy Hardwick, working on a spare.
That's what we call a flower pot shank there, Bud. When you hit them, they just all separate like a flower pot bursting on the ground.
Almost like slow motion, too.
Billy's made a great comeback in his game, Bud. When he came on the tour, his ball was a straight shot, but as the lanes have hooked more and more each year, Bill had too much hook, and now he's changed to the conventional three-fingered ball and much faster. That's more speed than he used to have on any three shots.
That puts him ahead by, what, 21 pins. Don Glover once again. Let's see if he slows up a little bit. That looks a little slower then, didn't it? And this is the Phoenix Open. I'm Bud Palmer along with Billy Welu. We're looking at Don Glover here, and we're in the second elimination game. Don Glover defeated Dick Weber in the first one. Now he's up against Billy Hardwick. Dick Ritker is number 2, and Ed Patterson waiting in the wings to see whom you challenge for the $6,000 first prize money. Sort of a tough break for Glover. You can see by his expression he's a bit unhappy with himself.
Right, Bud. I was about to say a picture tells many stories, and certainly his expression there was one of dejection.
And we'll have more of the second match between Billy Hardwick and Don Glover in a moment on the Professional Bowlers Tour. Here we go again. This is Billy Hardwick. Fourth frame, he was 20 points ahead, approximately, of Don Glover. Billy's won 9 tournaments on the tour. He won the PBA National Championship in 1963. In 1965, he won the Firestone Tournament of Champions.
Bud, Billy Hardwick recently took unto himself a wife. He reached down there in Wildersville, Tennessee, and got a little redhead named Marilyn, and she's here this afternoon, and they're very happy. Oh, that's out a little bit.
He brought it back pretty good, though.
Brought it back a long way, but it didn't have any hitting power when it got there, Bud.
You know, one thing about all these fellows is they all have a slightly different approach, perhaps, but they all have that smooth follow-through and almost an effortless style.
Well, that's right, Bud. It's not the mighty arm. It's the tender touch that means so much. And you've got to just stroke that ball.
That puts Hardwick ahead. Oh, there we are. See the cute little gal in there? Well, that is Marilyn Hardwick right there. Pretty pleased with the husband's performance so far as we switch to Don Glover, who trails by about 19 pins going into the 5th frame. That looked like a perfect hit all the way. Billy, when those pins hit, can you tell whether it's a strike or what's left, do you think, if you don't even look? And there's a slow motion to show you a perfect strike.
Pretty generally, Bud. After so many years of watching and listening. By the sound, you can pretty well tell. Junie McMahon was the greatest that I ever saw. He could tell you 99% of the time what was left without ever looking. He's got a little hitch in his get-along right now, Bud.
What are his chances of making this one?
Oh, very good. It's not a difficult spare, but by not any extreme easy. He's got to catch the 5-pin lightly on the left-hand side. He'll be coming into it, so that makes it a little more difficult. And slide it over in front of the 7.
Gave it a good try there. That puts Hardwick ahead by about 31. And here's Billy right now. And by the way, this PBA Tournament of Champions being presented by the North Phoenix JCs, Junior Chamber of Commerce, all over the country doing such wonderful work. And they're going to have a national convention here, I understand, in Phoenix.
Right, Bud, and they've just done a fantastic job here at the gate, selling programs, cushions. The show's long, the seats were hard, and it really was wonderful how they pitched in and worked.
And that puts Billy Hardwick about 30 pins ahead as he goes into the 7th frame here. Most of these bowlers seem to be going down the second arrow, an outside line, but more direct in the past, right?
Well, right, Bud. The shortest line between 2 points today is the secret. Boy, the pros are all playing the lane.
And that did not come in for him.
Billy a little over-anxious on that shot. He went to the line much faster than normal, and the ball was late in his swing, so he couldn't get the good lift on that. The lane condition here, Bud, has been one that has played pretty much around the second arrow. The first day, the boys played in as much as the third, but they've had to gradually move out. You could not circle the ball here. You had to go straight.
He's happy with that spare, and he leads Don Glover here by 27 pins. Don working in the 7th frame now. You know, it's amazing what you mentioned. You could almost see it there as he released the ball. He's slightly off balance, isn't he, coming to the line?
Very definitely so. And this is a human thing. It certainly happens many times, happens with all of us. And it's just unfortunate to happen to Don here this afternoon, looking for his first win.
There's a toughie to make. Well, he's only 21, so he has a long time.
He has a long time. He has a wonderful father who is with him many, many times on the tour and pulls for him very hard, and I know he's wanting him to be a great player, and with the determination that this Don Glover has, I know he's going to be.
That's a much better release that time.
Yes, and that's the mark right there of a good professional, a champion. After a bad shot, if you can stay with it, keep within yourself, and make a good one, that shows a lot of class.
Well, it isn't easy to release that 16-pound ball accurately with a approach like that. That's smooth. And we'll be back with the balance of the second match between Billy Hardwick and Don Glover after this message. Here's Billy Hardwick again, leading by about 38 pins.
But he's evidently not going to take a chance with any of those wild shots getting away from him. He elected to even tighten his lineup and go with more speed there because he has a comfortable margin. He's leading by 37 pins, and he does not want to make any wild card shots that will cost him 15 or 16 pins in one shot.
Mm-hmm. He's playing to win, not to score, I think.
That's right.
And don't forget, over most of these same stations, right after this PBA tournament from Phoenix, Arizona, ABC will take you live and in color direct to Hawaii for the Hula Bowl, which features the outstanding seniors in the country, like Gary Bevan, the great quarterback for UCLA, and that big punishing fullback from Syracuse, All-American Larry Zonka.
He almost went over the line there, didn't he?
That was the winning shot for him, Bud. He can afford an open frame now in the 10th and still win the game. The best Don Glover can make is 186. Oh!
That was tough for Don. But, of course, he has the consolation of, let's call that, of defeating Dick Weber in the first game, 226 to 211.
Bud, so oftentimes we're asked how to make this. He's going to try and slide this 4-pin into the 10. Almost got a lucky kick off the back.
I like your Billy board there, Billy. Explains an awful lot. And there's your score. As you can see, Billy Hardwick really out ahead now.
Right, we can talk about Squaw Peak and Snow Valley and hope that Don can come back and get in those finals again sometime over the next 11 weeks so that he'll be there for the big Firestone Tournament of Champions. We have some great ones coming up. We've got the Miller High Life Open. We've got the Ebonite Gold Cup Open.
And don't forget, right after this, we have the Hula Bowl.
And in Kansas City, our 5th stop on the tour, we will be there for the Lincoln Mercury Cougar Open.
And speaking of that, you know, this year that if you bowl a perfect game on ABC television, you get $10,000 from ABC plus a Mercury Cougar.
152 for Don Glover, Bud.
So Bill Hardwick now moves up to meet Dick Ritker from Hartford, Wisconsin, the 3rd round of the Phoenix PBA Open. Live and in color, you're watching the Professional Bowlers Tour.
Well, I understand that Chris Schenkel is out at the Hula Bowl, but he gave us a parting message, I believe, before he left for the warm climes of Hawaii.
Bud and Billy, as you know, I'd enjoy being with you in beautiful Phoenix. But what a tough assignment to be on the scene in Honolulu, Hawaii for the Hula Bowl game.
By the way,
and coming up soon on ABC, the Winter Olympic Games, televised from Grenoble to the USA exclusively on ABC.
Up here,
starting Tuesday, February 6th. Join us for our live coverage of the thrilling opening ceremonies via the satellite at 9 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on ABC. And again that night, February 6th, 7:30 to 8:30 Eastern Time. So to you, Bud and Billy, and the PBA, good luck on this first 1968 Professional Bowlers Tour telecast.
Well, thank you very much there, Chris Schenkel. As I mentioned earlier in the show, I know you're out in Hawaii, where it's just lovely there. But we are in Phoenix, where the weather's equally beautiful here. And speaking of the last match between Billy Hardwick and Glover, we'll give you the final scores on that. It was 212 for Billy Hardwick, 157 for Don Glover. This is the way it stands right now. We have Billy Hardwick up against Dick Ritker, and Eddy Patterson waiting to play the winner of this match in our King of the Hill format. Play is underway. That's Billy Hardwick. Don Glover defeated Dick Weber to begin with. Moved up to Billy Hardwick here, and Don Glover was beaten by Billy Hardwick. And now Billy Hardwick is taking on Dick Ritker. And Hardwick opens up with a spare. Now we switch over to Dick Ritker, Hartford, Wisconsin. He's won 3 tournaments in his career. He's 5'7", 27 years old. know, in any sport, Billy, I've never seen so many slight, thin fellows as you have in bowling.
But it's to their advantage to be slight, thin, small-waisted, small-hip, because they have a better margin for error. When you have big hips, and you're a tall man, you're further away from the floor, it's harder to get that ball around and keep it in a straight line. When you're small-waisted, that ball will swing by your body, and you've got 5 or 6 boards more margin for error in your swing than someone whose hip is in the way, and the arm will bounce off if you get in a little tight.
Well, Frank Esposito of the PBA was telling me of the top 20 bowlers, only one was overweight, but he wouldn't tell me which one. You overweight, Billy?
No, I'm in shape, Bud.
We brought that one in.
You're going to see a very fine player here in many years to come in this Dick Ritker. He just shows you a whole bunch of class. Hardwick says, give me some strikes. So I got to pay for that wedding ring. And a few other little things, washing machines, dryers, house, trailer.
Looks like even Steven now, isn't it?
And Buddy has hit this lane very well. Might set him up for the double. There again, we'll show you the anxiety, Bud. He really wanted that double. When you can get out to an early lead, put the pressure on the other man. And in his anxiety, pulled that shot a little inside of his target. Oh.
Thought he wasn't going to make that one?
I didn't know there for a minute.
Here's Hardwick. See, he's very close here. Ritker now up. It's amazing how this Professional Bowlers Association has grown. Less than 10 years ago, there were 33 members and $47,000 in prize money. Now there are 900 members and close to $2 million in prize money.
It's getting sweeter all the time, Bud. Eddie Elias has just done a remarkable job for the boys in the Professional Bowlers Association in bringing us to the plateau that we presently are enjoying.
And it's still even here. As Dick Ritker moves over to lane number 33, 4th frame.
Gets very low. Long arm swing. Very good reach.
And we'll be back with more of the third match between Dick Ritker and Bill Hardwick in just a moment. Here is Dick Ritker's strike you just saw in slow motion coming up. That's pretty perfect, isn't it, Billy?
There you see the value of the spin shot. You see how the ball stays straight into the pin deck. It does not hook sharply to the left.
Billy Hardwick now. 4th frame. This match completely even right now. That puts Hardwick about 1 pin behind.
Over in the wings, Bud, we hear some bowling. Eddy Patterson is over there warming up, getting ready for the final match.
Ooh, that was a little shaky, wasn't it?
He gave us a little Arthur Murray at the foul line there, and it didn't come out like he wanted it.
Extremely close, as you can see. Hardwick now trailing by about 1 pin. How about this one, Billy? Can you get your Billy board up there? Here's a slow-mo reaction of Hardwick, showing a really follow-through on that. Very graceful follow-through. They all have it, these boys. Just misses the stair. Now Dick Ritker with a big opportunity here to forge ahead even more. He leads by 14 pins.
Playing a very little soft and dainty shot in there on lane 34, and that time he was even slower than he wanted to be. He feared much worse. Came out pretty good, leaving only the 4-pin.
Tell me, Billy, to a top bowler like yourself, all these lanes, I guess, are different, aren't they?
Yes, Bud, they certainly are. Every lane in the house is a little different, and that's why the boys have such a difficult time, as you'll see them going game to game. Because you may have adjusted to one pair, and the next pair you move to, you have to make another adjustment. You can't just stay and get grooved in.
Ritker leading here by 14 right now.
In fact, we hope our viewers stay with us through this 1968 tour. We're going to sort of label this year's tour Operation Explanation and bring out some of those finer points that are not visible.
Pretty perfect, isn't it, Billy?
There you see the value of the spin shot. You see how the ball stays straight into the pin deck. It does not hook sharply to the left.
Billy Hardwick now. 4th frame. This match completely even right now. That puts Hardwick about 1 pin behind.
Over in the wings, Bud, we hear some bowling. Eddy Patterson is over there warming up, getting ready for the final match.
Ooh, that was a little shaky, wasn't it?
He gave us a little Arthur Murray at the foul line there, and it didn't come out like he wanted it.
Extremely close, as you can see. Hardwick now trailing by about 1 pin. Oh, brother. How about this one, Billy? Can you get your Billy board up there? Here's a slow-mo reaction of Hardwick, showing a really follow-through on that. Very graceful follow-through. They all have it, these boys. Just misses the stair. Now Dick Ritker with a big opportunity here to forge ahead even more. He leads by 14 pins.
Playing a very little soft and dainty shot in there on lane 34, and that time he was even slower than he wanted to be. He feared much worse. Came out pretty good, leaving only the 4-pin.
Tell me, Billy, to a top bowler like yourself, all these lanes, I guess, are different, aren't they?
Yes, Bud, they certainly are. Every lane in the house is a little different, and that's why the boys have such a difficult time, as you'll see them going game to game. Because you may have adjusted to one pair, and the next pair you move to, you have to make another adjustment. You can't just stay and get grooved in.
Ritker leading here by 14 right now.
In fact, we hope our viewers stay with us through this 1968 tour. We're going to sort of label this year's tour Operation Explanation and bring out some of those finer points that are not visible.
Now, that looked pretty good to me. What happened there, Billy? Get up that Billy
But
board
the
and show
ball
us, will
rolled
you?
a little bit too sharply. He was slow, first of all. He had a good left. The ball cut through here too sharply. To try and make this, he's going to roll it to the left side and barely touch the 4, sliding it over into the 10. Then the ball will go on through and get the 7. That is exactly right. Very good choreography there, Bud.
Thank you.
And he might make that.
Well, that brings us right even again. Billy Hardwick will be up. 6th frame. There's Ritker, a little unhappy. And your score. Whoa. This is a tough one, isn't it, Billy?
But here we'd like to point out again, even though the 7-pin is not up, it's irrelevant. In having the 4 in the 10, he must execute the same shot to the left side of the 4.
Gave it a good try, too. This match staying extremely close here. But with that open frame, Ritker goes ahead by 11 pins right now.
But the way they're playing cat and mouse right now, it looks like nobody wants out of the trap. All they want is a piece of cheese.
Well, Hardwick has had problems with these 2 lanes throughout the tournament here. He's only been averaging around 190. Ritker's been averaging around 200 on lanes 33 and 34. Hardwick looking down lane 33, trying for the spare. And he trails, you can see, by 11.
But it has not been one of the higher scoring pairs throughout the tournament. But then again, we do not pick our lanes each week for high scores.
Good chance then for Ritker to really go ahead.
The greatest thing in professional sports that has made it so beautiful for television and viewing today is the element of competition for the dollar, for the amount of money. The more money, the more the competition. The more excited the player, the more excited the viewing audience. And we're going to have a close match here from the way the trend is evolving. It's got to be a close match.
Ritker with the spare, leading by 11. Moves into the 8th right now. As you say, this is not a high scoring. We started out with a couple of pretty good games. 226 for Don Glover in defeating Dick Weber, 211, but this couldn't be closer, really.
All right. Very low, using a loft.
Got that one. And a comfortable way to spend a winter afternoon watching competition among the finest professional bowlers. We'll be back in Phoenix in just a minute. Phoenix Open, Billy Hardwick on the line, trailing by 11 pins. Prize money, $40,000. Oh.
Well, Bud, same split that he had before on that lane with the 7-pin added. It's the same split that Dick Ritker did have on lane 33. And he's going to try and roll the ball to the left. He must go for it. He's down by 11. If there's 14 in the count now, he lost 3. If he doesn't make this, then he's down by 25. So he's going to go for it. And
Could have been closer, could it?
there's no way.
Now he's down by 25 as he moves into the 9th frame. There's that try for the spare. Well, it broke up a little bit there, but it's amazing the new equipment they are coming up with all the time, especially on ABC. Doesn't work all the time, but most of the time. Oh, there it is. Look at that one. is a bowler's nightmare.
He just turned the card over.
Gives us a sheepish grin. Now Dick Ritker can afford to play a little conservatively. Going into his ninth, he leads by 37. Could have gotten a mean split out of that one. And looks like this is our winner here. Dick Ritker. Billy Hardwick can't catch him. Gets the spare there. Don't forget, we'll have the big final match coming up between Dick Ritker here and Ed Patterson, who's been waiting in the background. You might hear the pins going down there. That's Ed Patterson practicing. And don't forget, over most of these same stations, right after this PBA tournament, it's the Hula Bowl football game, live and in color, direct from Hawaii, with Chris Schenkel and Bud Wilkinson. That one looked mighty good. But Dick here is out ahead by 37 pins. He's in the 10th frame.
Notice how he rolled that ball cross lane, Bud. Very, very good angle.
He'll have a 180 something here.
Billy Hardwick fell into the same happenstance that Don Glover.
That gives Dick Ritker a 183 game. Billy Hardwick cannot catch him. So the story of the Phoenix PBA Open is almost history now. Dick Ritker gets set to meet Ed Patterson from Dallas. And at stake, the championship and $6,000 first prize money. And we'll be back in a minute.
Thank you, Bud. I got sharp.
All this time, you're in the number one spot. Is this an advantage or disadvantage?
I hope it's an advantage, Bud.
Well, what do you think?
Well, right now I'm thinking about the next game.
I don't blame you. This will be your first win, won't it?
If I win, it will.
Uh-huh. Well, that's a conservative statement all the way around. Let's talk to Dick over here. Now, Dick, I would say you had an advantage. Doesn't seem to come out that way, but you've been bowling, you've been winning, the adrenaline's going, the juice is up, and poor old Ed's just been sitting on the sidelines.
That's just the way I feel. Great. No, I feel I do have maybe a little bit of an advantage having felt the lanes out because they're just a little bit different now than when we played.
Okay, great. Well, we'll be back with this championship match between these two gentlemen in just a moment. The start of the action coming up on Professional Bowlers Tour. From Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, here we go in the finals now. $6,000 first prize. Ed Patterson here has been waiting in the wings. He was number one facing Dick Ritker here. Ritker hasn't been too happy with lanes 33 and 34. He's been averaging around 175, I believe, on these two throughout the tournament.
Eddy Patterson never could wish for a better game than right now.
That's right.
Looking for his first tournament win. And you're going to see a little different style from him, Bud. He rolls a full roller, and he can hook it pretty good. That's probably why he's had a little more trouble on this pair, because he's been hooking it more than the boys that have had success.
Now Dick Ritker up. That was a strange little mixer in there, wasn't it?
It was, Bud. There's an example of what we meant by not being able to belly the ball. He arched it out just a little bit, and he got out of that track area, and the ball didn't have any power. It had used up all of its revolutions to get back to the pocket, so it had no carry-through pin action. Sure has a wonderful stroke, though, Bud. Looked like he could sit in a rocking chair and roll that ball. Incidentally, Bud, this match is a replay of last night's position round match where Eddy Patterson defeated Dick Ritker 243 to 238 to become the tournament leader. Our statistician, Harry Smith, doing a great job up here with us today, Bud.
He scores almost as well as he bowls.
He got in the money, got him a little slip of paper, 450 clams.
Here he is in slow motion. Look at the smooth release we were talking about and the beautiful follow-through.
Notice how low he is, Bud, before he comes up. That's the trigger position and gives him the leverage in the shot.
Ed Patterson now. Oh. Don't look at me, Billy. You're the bowler.
I didn't make that shot. I made some worse than that, though, in this tournament.
Very tough break for Ed Patterson here.
I know one thing, I wouldn't be like to shoot that for a spare. But he appears a little slow. That was an excellent shot, but his speed control was just a little bit slow, and the ball bit the lane too soon. If he could increase his speed just a little bit and hold that track, I think he'd have a little more success. There's a little more speed, but pulled it ever so slightly, and it just didn't stay on the line. That's a great improvement over the 710, right?
It sure is.
Take the 4.7 anytime.
It's amazing to me how young these 5 finalists are. The average age is 28.
And Eddie's wife, Judy, is here with us, too, this week, and she's in our viewing audience.
Dick Ritker now is enjoying a 11-pin advantage. He steps up on 34. Okay, a pretty good hit to me.
But in order to keep the ball in the track, he's rolling it very, very soft, not putting a lot of lift to it. Just a little spin and letting the momentum of his arm swing carry that ball down the lane. And it did have enough hitting power.
Dick, you're 10 ahead now. Dick moving over to 33 as we watch Ritker in slow motion. Once again, that smooth follow-through. Here he is live. They all have that beautiful silk-like follow-through.
Well, he's thinking out there, though, Bud. He went with a little more speed that time, trying to hold that ball.
fascinating to me to watch these bowlers, how, as we mentioned earlier, how they adjust constantly throughout the match.
Well, right.
To each lane differently all the time.
But as we pointed earlier about explaining things this year, the variable elements in our game are not visible as they are in golf. In golf, you've got the wind, the rain, the trap, the woods, the undulations in the green. In our game, we have that many variables, but they're not visible. The lane, the grain of the wood, the difference in the maple and the pine, how much lacquer they put on, how much dressing they put on, at what hour of the day you bowl. And these lights for television, certainly we're not downing television by saying that. We have to have lights, but because we have lights, we have heat, and heat dries out the lane dressing. Therefore, the ball is hooking more now than it was at the start of this very match you're seeing today. And that is what a professional bowler has to contend with.
And that's a lot. Eddy Patterson, you could see, 11 behind. He's in the 5th frame here. That puts him some 22 pins behind right now.
But there's an old axiom in professional sports: when you're in trouble, attack. And right now, that's what Eddy Patterson needs to do. He's a little careful. He's trying to pace himself to get his composure, and composure is going to be too late right now. He's got to attack. Wild. Increase that speed.
Well, they're shooting for the $6,000 in first prize money here. Every 1 in 3 bowlers of the 96 cashes a check here. Don Carter, the all-time great who led most of the tournament, wound up 9th, collected a check of $1,150.
Have to hurry. That's that little trip 4 shot there that Pete Thomas made so famous. That's Eddy Patterson's wife, Bud.
That's Judy there, having a more anguish than her husband. Dick Ritker now. It's interesting, we haven't had a strike in this game yet, have we?
Looks like the first man that makes a strike wins the match. Harry Smith just pointed something out to us, Bud, that had he struck on that ball, that would have been his first strike. Dick Ritker is yet to strike on lane 34. We've got some very interesting luminaries in our viewing audience today, Bud. Mr. Joe Richards from the New York Daily News is here with his ever-present cigar. And Jim Deskin, the executive secretary of the Nevada Boxing Commission, is here. So we're very happy and honored that they've come from great distances to be with us.
And Ritker on 33. 6th frame. This is the finals. $6,000 to the winner, $3,000 for second place. See that big trophy in the background. Goes to the winner.
But he's going to move to the left. Try to go around and come in. But he did that a little too much. Ball finished in front.
That gives a big opening to Ed Patterson going into the 6th frame now. He only trails by 8. Looked like he was out of it with 2 open frames, and the crowd begins to stir up here, hoping Eddy Patterson can come through for his first PBA victory.
There's a little more speed. Held a much better line then, Bud. The lane condition has played in such a way that whether they're hooking or not, you had to go straight at all times. Now, when the lane condition is hooking more and you still have to go straight, well, you must increase your speed to hold that same line. Looking mighty pretty in that Kelly green shirt, too, isn't he, Bud?
I think few people realize how technical it is and how you must sense all the things you mentioned simply by feel and the action of the ball. And there's our score, with Patterson now trailing by 9 as he moves into lane number 33 in the 7th frame. We have yet to get a strike.
But I've got a feeling we're going to have one right here. I had a wrong feeling.
As we mentioned earlier, don't forget a great football game coming up right after this PBA tournament over most of these stations. It's the Hula Bowl from Hawaii, featuring the top seniors from all over the country. Heisman Award winner Gary Beeman from UCLA will be in action.
Bud, I think I'd like to take this opportunity to point out now the value of spare shooting. Neither one has made a strike, yet by making their spares, they're still in the match.
And there's the first strike. Dick Ritker coming up in the 7th frame of this match.
See, it is such a game that when you're head-to-head on a pair...
Not to interrupt you, saw a little bit of slow-mo that first strike there.
Both players have to roll on the same lanes, such as like playing in 13 degree below weather, or you have to play it the same on each side of the field. So by making those spares, they have kept themselves in the match.
Well, Ed Patterson has 2 open frames here, the 2nd and the 4th on splits. 1 open frame, the 6th for Dick Ritker here coming up, who leads by 10. Trying for a spare here on lane number 33. Gives him 122, working on the spare in the 8th. Ed Patterson now. Man, he needs some strikes.
Buddy left up a real troublemaker there. We call that the basket. That's the 2, 4, 5, and the 8. He's got to hook it in there enough to carry out the 8, but you can't hook it too much or you'll go through and chop off and leave the 5.
He just about has to make this one, doesn't he?
Yes, he can't afford another miss or another open. But he has increased his speed, but he's still going around with his release. Therefore, he's not getting the desired effect or the necessary value of his speed. In going around, he's now out of the track. "14 pins down. Eddy Patterson in lane 9. He's got to have a strike."
He just can't buy one. Ball didn't come in for him, did it?
No, Bud. We spoke about the track being around the 10th and 11th boards, and he is starting the ball there, but he's arching it out to around 8 or 9. And the difference in the lacquer between 10 and 8 and 9 is not getting him the uniform traction to bring that ball back into the pocket. And this is not derogatory to the lacquer in any way. It's just the fact that 95% of the bowling is done down the middle of that lane. And the path is going to become a little more worn there.
Now he's down by 16. Dick Ritker, our leader. And we still have only 1 strike here.
And, Bud, we still have a match, too.
Yeah.
Eddy Patterson is down by only 14 pins, and 1 shot can change that. This is one of those type of matches where nobody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose this one. But as Dick Ritker prepares to shoot the 10th frame, there you see it, 140 with a spare up. If he strikes on this ball, he closes out the match. I think he knows it too.
Close.
Well, he got a good count, hitting light and only leaving one. If he makes that spare, there you see it, leading by 13. If he makes that spare and then gets an 8, 9, or a 10 count, he'll still close out the match because he would be leading by 11 pins. Eddy Patterson could make 3 strikes and only pick up 10. So Dick Ritker is in a pretty commanding position right now, Bud. He needs 8, 9, or 10 on this ball.
Dick has won 3 tournaments on the tour in his career. And here's the big one. And as he mentioned, 8 or more pins, and he is the winner. How about it? That's more than 8 or more. And Dick Ritker is our winner. And we'll be back in just a minute to meet the Phoenix PBA Open champion.
Does he want a 4-shot? I can say one thing.
Well, here we are. We're a little confused here. We're pressed for time. Mitty Cohen about to present the big trophy here to Dick Ritker, our winner. Mitty Cohen, the general manager here of Squaw Peak Lanes. It's been a great tournament. It really has. How about handing over that big trophy?
Thank you.
Okay, who has the check now? Anybody have the check? There it is. Let's don't forget that, for Pete's sake. Doing that, too. It's right out there, too. Dick Ritker, $6,000. Congratulations, Dick.
Thank you, Brad.
You've got too much. You can't do it, Brad. Nice going. Air transportation for this tournament arranged and promotional consideration produced by TWA, Trans World Airlines, who fly the Starstream jet. So long, everybody. Finest bowlers in the world. You have seen the premier event of the 1968 PBA Series, live and in color from Phoenix, Arizona. The Phoenix PBA Open on the Professional Bowlers Tour. This ABC Sports exclusive was brought to you by Firestone, builders of the safe tire, available at more than 60,000 Firestone safe tire centers from coast to coast. By Consolidated Cigar Corporation, makers of New Guardsman cigar, a smashing buy for the man who thinks there's nothing so good as a good cigar. And by your Mercury dealer, home of Mercury, Mercury Cougar, and the all-new Mercury Montego. Lincoln Mercury, better idea cars from the makers of Lincoln Continental.
Tonight in color on ABC.